Alright, guys, so we are back for episode 5, MMHTsunami, here and in action. Not the right kind of action, obviously, there. Now I gotta climb all the way back up. In today's episode, climbing and talking not working well. Way to start off a great episode, huh? Anywho, back on topic, now that I'm almost back up to where I need to be. We're going to be building the chicken coop. As you kind of saw before, I fell to my wondrous fate. This is the, more or less, kind of the design I'm going with. I played around with it quite a bit, and there's not a real good way to make it open and viewable and keeping chickens in and etc, etc, etc. So this is what I went with. We got some stair action going there with some half slabs, kind of breaking it open, that way you can look in. And then for the floor, so that I can do egg collection, I'm dropping down before I meant to, we got the half slabs, of which, due to the game mechanics, will allow items to fall through and collect in this intricate hopper system I have. Thank goodness we still have plenty of iron, of which, with the iron foundry, we're going to have to fix up here pretty soon. That way it'll keep for when the update comes for the new snapshot, because bad things are happening. So I got down here and I started messing around, and I was trying to figure out what kind of hopper clock I wanted to go with. And I started building one, and I was not happy with what I was doing, even though I'm tearing down this one right now. This is the hopper clock I will end up using. It'll actually be two tethered together, that way I get the 20 plus minutes that I actually want. But I hopped into a creative world. I was playing around with a bunch of different hopper clocks. Biggest criteria, it has to be silent. That's one of my big guys. So that was one of the big things. On top of that, there's actually a couple stages that go into play with it, which is more or less the hard part. Because we all know chickens take 20 minutes to fully grow. Some of them will grow slightly faster than others, but more or less 20 minutes. So that's the time frame I have to set up in here to make sure that I have chickens that grow all the way up, and I can make this as, I don't want to say as efficient as possible, but decently efficient. And for anyone that caught the server tour, the redstone nightmare mess that was of the first chicken coop that I built, that was a disaster. Mainly because I just started digging down, and whichever way I dug, that was the room I had made for the glorious chicken coop, which was not as fanciful as this, I must say so. But anyway, so due to all that, I kind of wanted to at least hash out a good idea on what I wanted the redstone to look like. And I've at least got a starting point. And I'm actually planning on spending a good chunk of this episode kind of at least doing up the hopper clock system that I'm using. There's a ton out there. A lot of people are doing them. There's a lot of opinions on them, on which ones to use, I shouldn't say opinions, a lot of variations on which ones to use, what works better, etc., space savings. And I'm not really, I obviously like the space savings, and especially if I don't have a lot of dirt. I was thinking about digging up and showing you. Actually, I'll pop over to my mighty bridge. I do have limited space with where I'm working. So, I can only go so far back, etc., etc., and I can only go so far deep and be able to keep it all semi-level, with the, I am restricted to a degree on space. As you can see, I'm right on the edge here. If I dig out anymore, which I had started to, it's sketchy. So, space constraint is a concern, but more importantly, what I have found out that I tend to like with my redstone is not necessarily space, but keeping it organized. Making it to where you can drop in and be able to just see everything that's going on and not have to jump through hoops to try to figure out what's actually happening. And I have a feeling if I break through that next section, I am SOL. Yep, there's the snow. So, okay, that's as deep as I can go in that direction. But I do have a more or less system. I don't want to say pre-rigged, but more or less designed up that I really enjoy. There is, and I honestly don't know who to give the credit to. I would definitely give the credit to whoever deserves it, but I have no idea who originally came up with this. But it is the 1x1. You can find it on a lot of the Minecraft forums and wiki pages. Silent hopper clock design, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It's and I'm sorry, I said 1x1. It is a one wide design, and it is phenomenal. It is by far my favorite hopper clock design, mainly because it is silent. And as you can tell, I had been playing around in creative mode, trying to just whack away blocks now. But nonetheless, it is the design that, for some reason, it just appeals to me. And since it appeals to me, that is the one I tend to build. So in case if you've never seen it built up before, that is actually what I'm doing right now. I am building it up and not planning well because I don't have all the supplies I need. But luckily, I was smart enough to give myself a chest. Grab me some of those. That should do it for now. And, okay, I do have enough hoppers, so we're good there. Alright, get back on schedule. So, the design I'm going with is actually going to utilize 2 of these. And I'm going to need quite a few of those, so I'm just going to make up a bunch. I'm going to need more than that. More than that. Need more sticks. Never have enough redstone torches. Maybe you can. Oh, I can't do that. Can't leave one stick laying around. What am I thinking? There we go. That's better. Okay. So, I'll end up utilizing 2 of these, balance them out with just the right amount of items. I actually overpowered, or I shouldn't say overpowered. I gave, normally I would put 20 on one side items into the clock system. I would put 64, 64, and 32 in the other. Total of 160. Yeah, 160. That way I would get right around the 21-minute mark. But I've actually devised a different method to get my I am having a complete brain fart. My switch, and I'll end up building it up, and people look at me and go, "How do you not remember what that is called?" But anyway, let me quickly. I want to go out 1, 2, 3. 3 empty spaces. Okay, that's right. Yep. Shift click. There we go. A little sporadic today, guys. Sorry about that. It has actually been a rough week. So, really pressed for time. I really want to get this episode uploaded in a timely fashion. So, please do bear with me. Stuff at work and personal stuff, it's gone kaput these past couple weeks. Nothing horrible, nothing great. It's just busy, which I am really not used to. This amount of busyness. I'm used to busy, but it has gotten crazy lately. So I've been dealing with that, but luckily I have actually been able to, minus changing up my recording schedule, keeping everything on track. I was actually quite surprised with that. It has definitely made things flow a little bit nicer. All right, let's see. Make sure I do this right. Drop you down. I want one there, there, there. don't think I can have that there. There we go. Okay, that's looking better. And that side's good. Let's go ahead and grab some more. We'll grab a few more of those. Make sure we got plenty of redstone. Alright. Also, I will do a little fill-in. One of those general practices, redstone. The all-and-mighty redstone. It is more or less an equivalent of electricity in the game. And you have to build your own circuits. So if you know anything about electrical circuits and just kind of the basics and even programming logic you can throw into these, that's more or less what it is. So I am literally making a clock. So if I grab, oh wow, I have 32. That's the number I need. Throw items into this hopper. It'll pass them to the next hopper. And after that hopper is filled up, it will shift everything around. You saw some of the redstone lighting up change, and it will literally pass items back and forth between the two. But it won't just trade one back and forth constantly. For instance, if I pop both of these out real quick, and I'm going to do that, make it a little bit easier on that. Alright, so I got two and they're pointing right at each other, just like the ones in the system. If I drop one in there, you'll see it. Oh, I got one powered. Darn it. I'm going to have to hack them up. Alright, let's try this again. Grab those. Sorry, this explanation was taking a little bit longer than expected. Alright, so I just got two hoppers sitting out in the middle of nowhere. And if I drop some item in, you'll see it's just one that keeps getting passed back and forth between the two. Because what ends up happening is one will get passed to the, we'll call the one I'm looking at right here. This one on the right is primary and secondary. So the primary passes one to the secondary, and then at the same time it goes to pass the second one out of its system, out of the three that I put in there. The secondary hopper is also passing the one that already got passed to it back in. So it's constantly just trading more or less one, or it's really two, and it's just flip-flopping two back and forth the whole time is all it's really doing. And that is why you have to build these little circuit designs, is because the hoppers are you're able to stop hoppers from sending items by giving power to a block next to them, or things of that nature, actually giving power to the hopper or a block right next to it. So you can kind of control the flow of devices back and forth, which is why you'll see this torch kicking on and off, and also the block here getting powered on and off. So that's why that is created the way it is. And also what I'll be doing is dropping in some more comparators. Ooh, I'm gonna have to make some more comparators. I'll be dropping in comparators, and this is actually, I do believe, the only time I have ever truly used the subtraction mode on these things. Oh, I just realized. Let me dig these up real quick so I can walk over here. I did not plan this out well at all. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I did it there, how far back can I dig that way? Actually, I have a RS NOR latch. There we go. That I'm going to be building. That was the switch I was talking about previously. Then I'm going to be building on this end to trigger the chicken killing device, and also the trigger for setting off the dispenser. So I'm going to have all that trigger off a RS NOR latch, which will be on a 1-minute timer. That way I can make sure all the stuff flows properly and all that jazz. So, but it's going to be built right where I was going to put my little system of death for chickens. So I think I'm going to have to rotate this all 90 degrees. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, so I don't bore you with rebuilding what I have already built, I'm going to go ahead and cut here, rotate it all 90 degrees, make sure I actually have the proper amount of room that I needed. Apologize for not getting that set up beforehand. And yeah, we'll be right back with you. Alright guys, we're back. I started the chicken population, give them a chance to grow up and become old farts. But yeah, so what I've got already, I had to block it off because they are less than half a block high, so they can scoot out of the little half slab areas that I had set up. But I completed all of the redstone. Haven't tested it yet, but I am pretty confident it will work based off my other designs. So as I said before, I've got my wonderful silent hopper clock set up. As I mentioned, it is my favorite setup. In this side, I have a total of 160 blocks. And in this side, I have a total of 23 blocks. And what'll happen is this runs through its full cycle, and every time it triggers its end of cycle, it'll allow one to pass. And when this one becomes completely full, which is why I got this guy set up, only when that last item transfers, it will send a signal pulse through here through the comparator that's on subtraction mode. So it'll subtract that amount out, find out that has one more unit, pass my wonderful signal along, and to this gizmo. First it will go to this guy and pull the piston back, drop all the chickens into the fire, close the piston again, and let them burn and turn into cooked chicken. Yummy, yummy, yummy. I love my cooked chicken. And then I've got these on a delayed pulse, so just to make sure for 100% certain that this will trigger this latch to cycle through. When it cycles through, it'll power this guy on, which will go into that torch and pass on up. And because it cycles that bit on, turn that torch right there off. And oop, sorry, I want to go this way. And that torch is right below that block, and right now there's normally a dot of redstone on there, but I have it pulled off, and I'll explain that later. But it would trigger that. Now normally if that is on, ooh, oh, the blocks I lost. That should stop. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that would normally stay on, which would not allow that dispenser to kick anything off. And as soon as that torch goes off, when that latch is released, it'll turn that torch off and allow this clock to kick out all the items until it's done. And another fun little thing that I have set up, and I'll come back over this way, is it will run until it is empty, because if I follow, let me chop this out so I can get up there and show you. And that one, and that one. There we go. Okay, so that redstone torch powers this guy to cycle through around to that side to turn and reset the latch back to the not throwing eggs out and making chickens portion of it. And that is due to that guy right there. You can barely see it. That is a comparator. So, and it's set off, I purposely put it on the inverter. That way when it's empty, the torch will kick on and reset the latch. So what happens is when that 20-minute, and it's like a 21 and a half, 22-minute timer right around there. I haven't actually timed it out, but I know it's longer than 20 minutes, which is the key factor. So once this runs through its cycle and sends off its one pulse to cook all the chickens that are fully grown, it'll reclose that and allow anything that gets dropped onto the block to just hatch and turn into a baby chicken, and allow the 20-minute timer to start over again. But also it will trigger this to where whatever is in that dispenser, it will keep cranking them out non-stop until it is empty, which is one of the key factors here. And I'm going to overstock the chicken coop, so it will have way too many eggs coming through, and my goal is to actually have it to where I actually do have chickens that don't have enough time to fully grow up. And if I get that, that means that no matter what, I'm always getting the full allotment of chickens that will be able to hatch. And obviously the chickens popping out of eggs is completely random. It's I want to say it's a 1 in 8 chance that a chicken will pop out. I'm not sure on those odds. I'd have to relook them up, but on averages, I'll get the same number of chickens every time that will be able to fully grow, just due to the numbers that I'll be cranking through. So that is my overall goal. As you can see, I had to do a little bit of makeshift work there. I fell down into the area and I had to get out before all the chickens escaped. So here's the reason there's a full block there. That'll get fixed once all these guys grow up and can't sneak out as easily. So anyway, the reason I left, and I'll get back down there, left that one bit of redstone off that's right there. I left that off purposely. That way, as those chickens that are currently in there grow up, they will lay eggs, and those eggs I will be able to just come down here, grab them out, and run back up top and throw them back in until I get it populated the way I want it. Right now, and it was right before I had fallen in there, so I have no idea how many are in there. We're looking at about 18. Yeah, I'd say about 18, and I'm probably catching some monsters that are starting to crop up now that, yeah, so I would say 18. I like that number. I'm seeing all of it, maybe 19. So I'm just shy of 20. I'd like to have 30 minimum in there. My goal is to actually hit 40. That way I can make sure I have enough eggs and get everything I want out of it. So that's where we're at now. So now it's just the wonderful waiting game. Let them hatch, let them grow. Let them lay eggs, salvage the eggs, drop more in, let them grow. So we're looking at a nice couple hour wait period here until I can get the eggs I want. And I'll probably end up running back to spawn and grabbing some of the eggs that drop into the hopper over there as well. And I might even look to see how many I got in there, because it does a pretty good job of filling up the dispenser almost all the way every time. So anyhow, there's the update. The redstone, I'm pretty sure I went over it sufficiently. I'm not going to go over how the clocks work. I kind of did earlier on. I'm not going to go through the dirty details of all the redstone on it. That's more advanced. So if you don't understand redstone, it'll be pointless going over it. And if you do understand redstone, it's on all the forums and you can look it up. So I'll just leave it as is and let that roll the way it is. If anyone is truly interested in this overall design, I can do a tutorial. I am not opposed to that. I've never actually really done a tutorial before, so I would try my hand at that. So yeah, let me know feedback wise. As I said, I can always make one, and it doesn't really matter what your collection method is. So if you want to make something fancy that kind of looks like hey look, there's chickens in this area, or just a box that holds chickens, it doesn't really matter, because all the important stuff is down in the redstone and how it operates, and making sure you get it efficient enough to where even if you sleep or not, it'll work, which is why I don't like the day-night timers. It really does screw with some of the mechanics in the game, with skipping over ticks and things like that. So leave me your feedback on that. If you do want a tutorial, I am not opposed to doing one. Couldn't promise how long it would take to get one out, but enough of that. What I want to talk about, and actually before I leave, I am done with the chicken coop for this episode, so all of the updates will follow in episode 6. So FYI, don't plan on looking for more because it'll take a while to stock it, and time crunching and whatnot. And I want to make sure I got enough time to get this episode up and kicking. So the next thing I want to talk about, I have decided the next project that I shall work on, and it's not organizing the storage area yet. I've got it to where it's working, and I'll leave it as is for the time being. I want to make this port, and actually, so I can run around and talk and not think about stuff, I'm going to hop into a bed. And, okay, nobody else is on the server. That makes it a lot easier. So we shall sleep. And when we are done, haha. Okay, so the port. Alright. I am very, very worried about making this correctly, because I am not the greatest at terraforming. Luckily on this server, we've been trying to keep the form of the land as much to how we found it as possible. Obviously, you know, you gotta change stuff as you build it, but there. Oh, I can get him. There we go. And actually what I'm thinking about over here is not really worrying about the terraforming as much, as opposed to making it look like we chiseled it out of stone to make the port. I'm kind of thinking of making it more of a man-made-ish type port, and making it to where it's almost like a sheared cliff right here. Because, I mean, it's a steep slope, so trying to make something that, or design something out that looks right and fits the style properly is going to be a little bit difficult. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to go with. I'll probably take out this bottom layer of the staircase here and flatten this out to about probably about that line right there, maybe in one. Undecided at this point. I mean, I'll have to play around with it, see how it looks. But I'll flatten that all out to where it's at the same level that I'll call it ground level. And then on the side, probably do, and it's right in this. Oh, hop up. So this too wide area, most likely here. As I said, still undecided. Will be a too wide staircase that'll pop up to the quote-unquote ground level, which is right here. And so there'll be this nice little platform up here. And I'm actually even kind of thinking about making like little booths. So right now we've got quite a few people that have gotten onto the server. A lot of them have just popped on to kind of see what's going on, what's happening. A lot of friends I have. But the main players would be myself. Apologize if I say this incorrectly because I always mispronounce stuff. Confucian, if you've seen the server tour. Not to be confused with Confucius, or is it the other way around? I'll let you decide. Nonetheless, I'll make a individual port for each of the main players. Right now that would be Confusion, the Nighthammer. We have Solori, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and Sirianus. And then as the other ones start becoming more frequent, I'll start expanding out. But the primary one all the way here at the edge will be notated as the guest port. And then I'm actually going to go back and check the server logs and find out who signs on the most, even though I'm pretty sure I know the order. But I'm pretty sure it'll be Solori, the Nighthammer, and then Sirianus and Confusion. Those two might be flip-flopped back and forth. They're on, as far as I can tell, about the same amount, just based on when I'm on the same time they are. But I'll have to check server logs and see if I can figure out who logged the most time, because I'm thinking we are going to give priority seating, or porting. So that is what I think I am going to work on next. I'm not going to promise how much will be done by next episode or how much will be done during next episode. But I am filming another time lapse coming on, so I might end up time lapsing quite a bit of this. I don't know. We'll see. Still undecided. I'm very undecided. It all depends on time. Time, as I mentioned before, is critical at this point. A lot going on at work, a lot going on in the personal realm, but I'm making sure this stuff will happen. So, eerie. So, as it stands, those are the thoughts. My main goal is to actually try to keep this Let's Play less redstone farm oriented. I mean, I will build the occasional projects as I need them, and this is the first time I have seen that from this angle, and all I gotta say is I am pleased with the way this stuff turned out. Holy cow, that it almost looks like a circle, even though I know it's not, and if you've watched the previous videos you know that it's not a perfect circle, but that looks phenomenal. Oh, I'm loving it, yay. Anywho, sorry, I get sidetracked very easily. So, next big project, zip port. Once the port is done, I think I might make episode 7 a lighthouse. Or a tree farm, because I'm getting sick of coming down here and cutting down trees. Actually, tree farm I'll probably end up doing off camera because those are pretty boring. Unless if I make it all fanciful and decorative. But the main thing is next episode will definitely be zip port. Zip port. And pretty soon here I'm going to have to start collecting my cows. Because I love me some leather. Alright, so I will bid thee all farewell. And until next time, this is MMHTsunami.